Hello and welcome to the final week of Foxii Fighters! In week 6 we saw our top 12 shape up, and this week we will crown our champion. It has been a very intense competition so far, and I'm confident that in this final week every team will start to feel the pressure. The time between fights is getting shorter and shorter, and with one loss, your victory hopes could be all over.
We are now down from 24 to 12, and our last machines are going to be randomly drawn into 4 round robin groups, with the loser of the round robin being eliminated. The final 8 that manage to stand on top within these round robins will go into a single elimination bracket where we will finally crown our champion.
It's time to have a look at the 12 bots that have made it this far, and look at the journey they took to get here. Starting with top of the Ruby group, Neola. This formidable multi-bot has been tearing up the competition left, right and centre, with only one loss to its name against rival Counterpoint so far. But even then, they redeemed themselves last week, taking down Counterpoint in convincing fashion to claim victory in the Ruby group. With 5 different weapons in its arsenal and an answer for seemingly everything, Neola has been a scary opponent for any competitor to face.
Counterpoint has been in the same boat as Neola throughout this tournament. Those two were the only bots in the tournament to score 6 wins and 1 loss in the round robin phase. And the domination not only continued, but came to an early head as the 2 best bots came together at the end of the Ruby Heat bracket. And while Counterpoint suffered the loss this time round, they're both in the top 12, and I can guarantee you they're both preparing for each other. Counterpoint is undoubtedly a top contender, and they won't be happy with anything but the winning trophy.
On to Terabyte, arguably one of the most destructive machines we've seen here in Foxii Fighters. They've had an impressive 5-2 record, only losing to Neola and Avalanche in their group. Their rigid design and aggressive tenacity in the arena has landed them many destructive victories, one of those notably being against Counterpoint. I have no doubt that Terabyte will get pretty far in this tournament. However far it may go, we'll never know, but I would not be surprised if it ends up getting that top spot in the end. Another equally impressive machine that personally to me is my favourites in terms of design is Mundo, a 5-2 robot that got the bronze in the group bracket and that successfully defeated many a strong machine with utilising axe and flipper alike. I would like to see them get the gold, but I think they've got a tough road ahead, especially with some of the competitors they'll be facing.
The Emerald Group's runner-up Skynet is quite the surprise pick. I can't imagine many people are expecting to see it here. Early in the event, Skynet was lacking, but now we see the true potential of that unique articulating spinner. It is lethal when it hits in the right place. We've seen Skynet beat the other 2 Emerald Group robots that have beat it this far in Mundo and Serpent, beating the former twice by knockout now. Skynet might be unpredictable, but that could be key to its victory.
And as for the bot Skynet lost to, Serpent has looked near unstoppable in this bracket, racking up 2 consecutive wins to win the group, continuing the impressive 5-2 record it had from the round robin phase. Serpent's ability to win from almost any scenario mixed with the durability of the bot overall makes it a scary challenger, and for anyone going up against it, they have to drive perfectly and fall under all the right circumstances to even think about beating it.
And from one group champion to another, we have AJ Allmanflinger. After just barely scraping through the round robin phase, Rob drove the wheels off his robot, making him the victor of the Sapphire group, defeating both the robots that previously caused him to go up in flames. The flipper is powerful, the robot is well driven, and the armor is strong. AJ is a robot that could make a very good run to the top here tonight.
And with that, we've got the Sapphire runner-up, Stardust. The hydraulic flipper has proven to be among the most powerful in the field, sending bots high into the sky, and in some cases out of the arena too. It's gotten the job done against lesser opponents, but as the field lessens and the competition grows, will Stardust be able to adapt and overcome, or will it be left behind?
And from powerful flipper to vertical spinner, we have Hu Wang, a machine that has torn through the Sapphire group. This robot, I think, still packs a punch. And I've known Swin for a long time, and he's been perfecting this machine for a long time themselves. I think Hu Wang still has plenty of power within that spinner, and if driven well, he could take the top spot.
from the top step to a robot that's a bit on the back foot for the start of the top 12 is Lemon. We've said before about the power that it packs in each and every hit, but from the heat bracket phase, we know what can challenge it. Red's got a very difficult task to deal with, but the experience could be the benefactor between it making it to the top 8 or it going home.
And at second place in the Topaz Group bracket, we have my quadruple drum spinner in Super Esports. I feel pretty confident in saying that I could take down any one of the 11 other robots that have made it this far. However, I also feel confident in saying that I could lose to any of them too. Super Esports is a robot with many strengths and a few massive weaknesses. I'm just praying that we'll see more of the good side of it here tonight.
And last but certainly not least, we have Demon Spirit, built by the tenacious Double. Has been a very aggressive and well-driven machine when they're not nearby the corner pockets. Against some of the best and the cream of the crop that this competition has to offer, Double really needs to not make any mistakes if they want to get first.
And now that we know our competitors, it is time to draw them into the groups. Our first group will see Neola, Demon Spirit, and AJ Ormanflinger. Group 2 will contain Terabyte, Serpent, and Lemon. Mundo, Counterpoint, and Stardust will be our third group, and Super Esports, Huowang, and Skynet will make up our fourth and final group. So, what do you two think about our groups?
Group 1 here will be about as close as it's gotten so far, that being for second place. Neola is a proven weapon, and while I can't comment on Double's thought process about them, I know that beating Rose will be a steep uphill climb. As for Demon Spirit, for some robots it is hard to counter, but AJ has just defied all odds. It might not be a bad thing to believe it can do it again.
I think I do have to agree with Rob here when it comes to it being who gets second place really for this group. Neola has proven time and time again to be the Swiss Army bot of this competition, and I have no doubt that unless I'd say Demon Spirit or AJ pull something miraculous out of their hat, Neola will take the top spot for this group.
For me, this is the hardest group to pick a loser from. I think we all agree that Neola wins this one. I don't see a way for either flipper to beat it, so the match between AJ and Demon Spirit will decide this group.
Going on to Group 2, where Lemon has, I'd say, unfortunately drawn both Terabyte and Serpent. I think, have an uphill battle here when it comes to these two machines. Serpent is a very slippery flipper, and I think Terabyte has the better durability between the two shells, so if it comes to shell versus shell, he'll probably have the advantage.
I think this is going to be another very close group. However, I believe that Terabyte will be the machine getting eliminated here. Lemon and Serpent have been two of the top machines throughout the entire event so far, and to me, Terabyte is just that slight step below them. I think Lemon and Serpent have this one.
For the first time this tournament, we've got a battle of the shells on between Terabyte and Lemon. Both do have similar records, but in the arena, I think I'm on Lemon's side. Not to discredit Terabyte, but Lemon in my mind has better stability and the bigger tooth gives it more range to attack. Lemon just has to stay on the offensive throughout.
On to Group 3, where we have two machines in this group that finished last week in second place, that being Counterpoint and Stardust. I think when it comes to this group, it's all going to come down to the best driven machine. All three of these robots like to be patient, like to tear apart the most sensitive of pieces when they see that opportunity. I'm thinking Counterpoint's definitely through. Between Stardust and Mundo, though, it's anyone's game.
Now, I'm going to disagree with you, Rad, here. I feel like this group's pretty set. I don't see Counterpoint losing to either robot, and I also don't see Stardust beating either robot. Mundo sits perfectly in the middle of the two. Counterpoint's spinner will just destroy the wedges of the two flippers, and I think Mundo can just out-control Stardust. I imagine the fights will still be a lot of fun to watch, even if I feel like I can predict the results.
The big thing for me with this group is with Stardust. Its other two opponents can deal big damage in the arena, and we've seen beforehand that there's a lack of armor, especially behind the flipper. Counterpoint, being the smaller bot, will have a tough task of avoiding the huge front wedge on Stardust, but it won't take many hits to shatter the bot from the rear. If Stardust can make some lucky flips, then it's likely to go through, but balancing defense and offense will be a tall task.
And finally, Group 4. My plan for the Skynet fight is to eat away at the wheel guards and eventually the wheels. I'm not confident being able to out-wedge it, so avoiding the front is the way to go for me here. As for Hua Wang, I've got absolutely no clue. I'm not going to say I'm confident here, but with some clever driving, I can make it into the top 8.
Along with Group 1, Group 4 has a seriously strong field in it. Hua Wang, Skynet, and Esports, as you've said, are all capable inside the arena, very capable. Looking statistically at the records of each bot, I'd have to say Skynet goes out here. It's not got the best design to challenge Esports, and Hua has the possibility to aim for the tyres and immobilize it.
I think this group is going to be interesting in terms of exploring the many different ways you can make a spinner. Skynet being an overhead, which is meant to destroy and smash down onto the top. Hua Wang, which is a vertical spinner, which is all about flinging robots just as much as tearing them apart. And they have Super Esports, whose drums are more about grinding and wearing down a robot. Grinding and wearing down a robot until they're nothing but bits. It'll be interesting to see what happens when they come face to face in the arena. That's enough speculation. It's time to get on with our first group of the night and our first match between AJ and Demon Spirit. On to the first match of Group 1 in the red square, Demon Spirit in the blue square, AJ Omenflinger, both machines, flippers, dominating in their groups, and now they're out to test which one of their group is the better flipper.
Yes, we have a gas-powered flipper in AJ versus the electric 4-bar of Demon Spirit. Two very different philosophies here, Demon Spirit going for the lower-powered, more controlled flips, with AJ hoping to get that lucky Uta, potentially from the middle of the arena with the power we've seen in it so far.
But the second strong flip there of the match as both robots very much aligning each other. Oh, onto the shelf! Good flip there by AJ.
And Demon Spirit driving straight off the shelf, using that 4-bar to lift the wedge up. Ooh, upside down, trying to self-right. There we go, it manages.
The ramrods have been a bane for both of these machines so far in the tournament, and AJ capitalizing them effectively, ripping off a piece of Demon Spirit from the damage flat. Another piece goes flying off. Those superficial so far.
It's those two corners on that big wedge at the front. Have to say, I am a little bit confused as to why Double went with this config, as we've previously seen it be used against horizontal spinners. It seems a little bit odd to be going for this against a flipper with those low forks like AJ Omenflinger.
It may be that he's just had better chance at wedging underneath robots with this config than the others. I mean, AJ is particularly nippy and nifty, and so far those forks have been difficult to match, really, by the wedge, so perhaps it was a mistake.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to be working too well. That's another good flip from AJ. Demon Spirit self-righting, but AJ chaining its flips. 1, 2, 3. Demon Spirit pinned against the wall, almost under the hammer. It's gonna have to do a lot in this last minute to bring back this fight.
Yeah, so far, every sort of, I think, most major flips from AJ have been from Demon Spirit feeding it by getting into the front of it and getting flipped again. As you can see, every time it tries to wedge in and angle in, it is just getting pulled back towards the front as it is being sucked in.
And, oh, the floor flipper getting in now. So we've got 3 flippers in this match instead of the 2 that we thought we had. Oh, AJ getting another couple of shots in, recovering well from being flipped, and Demon into the drums, but flips itself back out.
A mean flip there from AJ. It's, I think, so far really obvious who's been at the top of the game so far, but a nice little retort from Demon Spirit. Demon Spirit, I think, at this point, needs to capitalise, needs to get him in a poor position. A good few flips to try and make up there as we get towards the last 20 seconds of the match.
As the fight is coming to a close, there's another toss from AJ, getting Demon Spirit over. But Demon Spirit did have a little bit of a comeback there. I don't know if it'll be enough in the eyes of the judges. AJ gets a couple more flips as we're into the last few seconds of the match.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be enough. Demon Spirit is going to go to the judges, and I think really it needed its moment to get lucky in that match and flip AJ out, but since we're in the cards, I don't think he's going to win.
And our judges have given AJ Allmenflinger the win on a 9-4 decision. A good start for AJ. Demon Spirit is going to need to do something very impressive in its next fight against Neola to stay in the competition. And now we have our second fight in the first group. AJ Allmenflinger's second match against Neola. Neola using its flipper and horizontal spinner. And AJ instantly inverting the horizontal. That is a strong start for it.
Though it won't be an advantage for long since Neola comes in pairs. AJ's got to worry about two machines there, especially the flipper that is still up and has flipped it and tossed onto the spike, putting it in a bad position and putting it over again.
Oh, that flipper is proving to be a problem for AJ Allmenflinger right now. It's rivaling its own power, which is impressive for a machine of half the weight of AJ.
So I think that's expected from our genius bot builder, Rose here.
Oh, and she's done it!
The arena! Fantastic toss there from Neola! Showing you that even though they're half the weight of a regular robot, they are just as strong. David against Goliath, AJ against Neola.
And with that flip out of the arena, AJ Allmenflinger ends the group on 10 points, gaining only 1 point from that first minute knockout. Neola starts with a very strong 13 points.
And on to the last fight of Group 1 in the red square, Neola, blue square, Demon Spirit. And Demon Spirit needs to get a strong victory in this match. Either a good judge's decision with total domination or a knockout against Neola. And so far, with one piece knocked off of Demon Spirit and being tossed over by the drum of Neola, it's looking a bit rough.
Although, credit where it's due, Demon did get a very good flip at the opening there on the drum. He seems to be targeting that one. Although, we're seeing another weird config choice from Double here. Those large pontoons haven't been seen up to this point in the event, and it looks like they might have been specially made to deal with Neola.
It's certainly, I think, showing its worth here, but right now, it's, I want to say, not very durable, as a few pieces have been knocked off of Double already, and perhaps it's getting the spinners a bit too close to its flipper arm, which is something it doesn't want.
There's a chance that if it misfires, that horizontal might cut the 4-bar linkage, which Double definitely doesn't want, as that is his weapon down. And I also, going back on the config talk, I believe this is the first time we've seen Rose use both spinners in the same match throughout this entire event.
I think she's recognised that if you want to break Demon Spirit, you're going to have to break it hard with two very powerful spinners. And right now, as we have seen, one of those pontoons is broken off, so I think this strategy is working.
It definitely appears to be. We've seen throughout this competition so far that Demon Spirit is very durable, but it appears that when it's met with two powerful spinners, it's really just in trouble. The wedge lip on that flipper gone now, both pontoons gone. Double's got to do something. He needs a miracle to get back in this fight.
Oh yeah, a bit of friendly fire there from Neola, superficial nonetheless, and right now I don't think that Double has much in terms of frontal protection. A wheel has already come off.
He's down to 3. Oh, good hit from the horizontal there.
Oh, yeah, I think this is the swan song for Demon Spirit as he gets tossed up in the air. Another wheel gone. Oh my god, it's like an abattoir in there.
Yeah. The spinners seem to be taking turns to hit it. While one hits, the other one spins up, and then they keep switching and switching. Very good strategy from Rose and Neola here.
Oh yeah, they were and one of the classes was holding them up, getting ready for the other to pull the legs off the wheels off of Demon Spirit as if they were dealing with a bug. Oh, this is just cruel at this point. This is sadistic. Someone stop this fight.
There's only 20 seconds left, Red. It'll be alright. He's got 2 wheels left. The robot's still working. That battery is perilously exposed. It's down to 1 wheel. The poor thing.
Even if it makes it to 0, it might get counted out.
Oh, a bit more friendly fire at the end there. And that is our match. Demon Spirit got 1 good flip right at the opening there. But then after that, it just seemed that Neola worked out exactly what to do and took the fight into their own control. And the JD has gone in Neola's favor, giving Neola 10 points, while Demon Spirit only gets 3. And now we move into Group 2, where we see the first of the Shell Spinners, Lemon, face off against Serpent, arguably the most powerful flipper in the event. Misflip out of there, but Lemon is a very hard robot to get stopped, as we have seen throughout the event so far.
Yes, as we have seen so far, Lemon appears to be dodging and dancing around the arena, just trying to get to spin up to full speed to really make a massive impact against Serpent, because Serpent's such a low machine, it's going to be very slippery.
We have not really seen Serpent take much damage throughout this entire event, so it'll be interesting to see if Lemon can break down those very durable front pontoons. But at the moment, the arena having its say as well. Serpent getting one flip, and the arena flipping Serpent.
Yeah, I think if the arena didn't flip there, it would have been a bit of a cascading event against Lemon there. Lemon got quite a bit lucky, and right now he's taking the opportunity to spin back up once more. Serpent trying to stay on the offensive. Those ramrods once again getting in the way.
Giving Lemon time to spin up. That's a big hit. That's the hits we know Lemon for. It seems those durable front pontoons on Serpent are definitely making it hard for Lemon to get the big hits we know it for. But there's one of them.
Another piece getting knocked off there, and a pontoon has come off. That is exposing the wheel of Serpent, and we've never seen Serpent be at this level of damage before.
We're 1 minute 20 into this fight. We're not even in the second half, and this is the most damage Serpent has been in the entire event. That's a wheel guard gone, exposing both of the left side wheels. I think Lemon knows its target. It is doing everything it can to whittle this machine down.
Yes, and right now, as you can see, Serpent, it needs to be careful, needs to be cautious, and rely more on its heavier and more well-built side, because Lemon is seeing that discarded and broken point as a place to catch on, and the other pontoon's gone. Only the flipper's left in terms of protection. And there's a wheel!
That was the front as well! You've got to imagine now, a lot of weight has come off Serpent, so when Lemon hits it, it is going to go flying just like that! Sent from one side of the arena to the other!
The Lemon continues to spin up, continues to lay away. I think it knows that he's victorious, and right now, he's just taking every moment to try and get the knockout. That last wheel is calling for Lemon.
Even so, you got to give Serpent credit for staying aggressive, staying on Lemon as much as it has throughout this fight. Lemon does seem to be slowing down a little bit, but it's definitely not stopping anytime soon.
Yeah, with every little smack, it tosses Serpent away, letting it know that it's still on top. And Serpent, I mean, yes, as you said, gotta, tip my hat to the aggression here that it's performing here. It's just, Serpent with a nice little push there, that's around to the corner. Can it do anything? It managed to get over, but that's time, that's it.
You've got to wonder how differently that little end segment there would have played out if Serpent still had its flipper lip. It was lining up perfectly to get that Uta, but it just didn't have the tools to do it. Lemon putting on a powerful display throughout this entire fight. The judges have awarded Lemon the victory in this fight, granting Lemon 9 points, giving it quite a strong start, while Serpent gets 4. It's going to need to catch up a bit in its second match in the group.
Next up, of course, we have in the red square Terabyte, and in the blue square we have Serpent. Serpent coming fresh from a loss there, and is facing once again another Shell Spinner.
It's going to be interesting to see how differently Terabyte and Lemon treat Serpent. As we've seen in both of their previous fights, Lemon tends to get these big hits and both robots bounce out of control, while Terabyte stays fairly planted. So it's going to be interesting to see the difference in driving styles between the two in this fight.
Yes, I would hope that Serpent's learned a thing or two from facing against Lemon before, since right now they need to capitalise on Terabyte being slow and just stay on them. Right now they are doing exactly that. Terabyte not being given much wriggle room to spin up. Serpent, though, Managed to angle in. Another pontoon has come off.
Oh, that was quicker than Lemon. It got a new record, that. Lemon got one down in 1 minute 20. Terabyte got one down in 40 seconds. Oh, you've got to imagine Serpent starting to panic now.
Yes, it's going to need to get in there. Another good flip there. Oh, onto the shelf.
Terabyte trying to self-right, but Serpent capitalizes. Terabyte is on the shelf.
Terabyte needs to get off of that shelf somehow, ping off, and he does. But Serpent flips them back up. They know that they can get them on the shelf. They know that's a good point for victory. Will they be able to get them back up again?
Terabyte rights itself, but it's straight back onto Serpent's flipper and back on the shelf again. A second count starting.
Terabyte, can it pull off the same trick again? Terabyte's going to have to try. No, it can't. It's stuck and it's knocked out. What a great victory from Serpent.
From a loss to Lemon to a victory over Terabyte. You have to think, for the first minute, Serpent did not look like it was going to win this fight. But all it took was one good series of flips, getting Terabyte onto the shelf once, twice, and it stayed there. Serpent gets 12 points, putting its total on 16. While Terabyte gets only 2, meaning it needs a very good win against Lemon to keep it in the competition. And now our final Group 2 match sees the one that a lot of you have been waiting for. The two shell spinners, Terabyte versus Lemon. But only one of them spinning up to start the match.
Yes, I think I heard in the pits that Lemon was trying to do a strategy against Terabyte here, and so far I think we're seeing the fruits of that labour, and that strategy appears to be gone now.
Yes, both shell spinners now getting up to speed, Lemon delivering the big hits and bouncing away, and Terabyte still staying planted. It's going to be interesting to see which of these two similar concept robots comes out on top here.
Yes, so far I think Terabyte is remaining the stable spinner out of the two. Lemon pinging around the place here, trying to spin up once more, which I think Terabyte is fine with because it just gives it time to spin up to full speed. Lemon being tossed over by that hit there, trying to recover in some way.
The dome on top definitely helping. There goes Lemon's bottom. It appears that Terabyte hits lower than we thought and has managed to clip the base plate of Lemon. That's the first real damage in that match. Ooh, Lemon coming close to the camera. We're seeing that shell looking quite damaged now.
Yes, this is not ideal for Lemon right now as Lemon is pinging around the place. And there goes the shell! Oh dear, Terabyte had a big target to hit there, and right now they have just received a massive victory here.
Lemon's still trying, but we're seeing that chassis now exposed. Oh, there it goes!
Oh, Lemon is flying
Lemon?
Lemon's going crazy!
Lemon, come back. Oh!
Oh, and then goes Lemon pinged out of the arena. Oh dear.
Of all the things we thought we'd see in this event, I don't think a shell spinner getting an Uta is one of them. But Lemon, unfortunately, just trying something a little bit risky at the start of that match, it not playing out. And by the time both shells got up to speed, damage had already started to rack up. 12 points go to Terabyte, and only 2 go to Lemon.
Now we start with Group 3 with Mundo against Counterpoint. Mundo in the blue square, Counterpoint in the red square. And both of these machines, I think, are fantastic and demonstrate the perfect display of multi-weapon robots. But oh dear! Oh, it's not got off to a good start with Mundo.
He may have called it multi-weapon, but that flipper's gone already. It's got to rely just on the axe now. It appears that Counterpoint's weapon setup with that horizontal hitting low down just chipped away at the wedge and then the flipper itself.
Yes, I think like a good demonstration here with Counterpoint is just showing that there's not a lot of weight in that front flipper for Mundo, which probably wasn't a good idea to have, considering that you're going to be facing against spinners a lot, but that axe is somewhat coming into play.
I'm having the feeling that Mundo's idea was, because that wedge is quite low to the ground, that no spinners would have really hit it. And it worked in the group phase against things like Soundwave, but when you've got a spinner that hits as low as Counterpoint does, it's going to snipe wheels, it's going to snipe those wedges. I just don't think Mundo foresaw that coming, really.
Yes, and right now it's very much on the back foot. I think the mini-bot just exploded there. There's debris.
I don't think the
spraying
mini-bots
everywhere.
lived to the end of a fight yet. I think it's been killed every single time.
Yes, and right now I think all Mundo's got to hope for is that its body just survives against the onslaught of the horizontal spinner. I think Forty has realised that it's going to get a victory quick if it just whittles away at Mundo. There's not much else left there. Mundo being tossed over by the flipper.
I think I saw a wheel get ripped off as well. It was rolling over by... There it goes. Heading into the blue square now. Mundo's on its back. 3 wheels left. Counterpoint getting a shot. Oh, and it's being counted. But Counterpoint knocks it down.
Mundo trying to self-right. It does. Being tossed up a bit there by Counterpoint. Mundo just trying to use whatever weapon it has left to do something, and I think it's managed to knock off a couple of those catchers that are on the lifter there, but that's about it. Stuck now on the ramrods. Oh dear.
Those ramrods, pure evil they are. They're the simplest hazard in this arena, but I think they've had the biggest effect in fights, just holding robots in place, allowing spinners to get up to speed.
It's been a great sort of hazard to set up a almost alley-oop really for for many attacks. And right now, as we get close towards the final 20 seconds of the match, Mundo's going to make it to the end, but he's going to make it as much less than the robot he was at the start of this match.
Mundo, unfortunately, it was a bad matchup against Counterpoint here. Mundo's main wedge just chipped off right away. And now look at the state it's in as we end the match. The robots separate, and you've got to imagine which way the judges are going to give this one. It's pretty obviously going in Counterpoint's favour. And our judges have got their scores in. Counterpoint is your winner, getting a very strong 11 points, with Mundo only getting 1 point. And our second match of Group 3 sees the Hydraulic Flipper of Stardust against Counterpoint. Counterpoint fresh off a very convincing win against Mundo. The mini-bot's been repaired again, which is always good to see, getting that flamethrower into play, or at least being used.
I'm convinced that the mini-bot at this point is like a self-assembly IKEA kit. Anytime you break it apart, you've got the instruction to just put it back together again. And I think, but focusing more on the match between these two heavy and strong contenders, Counterpoint needs to be careful there. Oh,
there goes the mini-bot.
Oh dear! Good run there! Pushing him up onto the shelf. I was going to say, he needs to be careful letting Stardust charge up, but can Stardust get itself off? I don't think it can!
Stardust knocked out in under a minute. Counterpoint is looking deadly in this final week, getting 2 very strong wins in its group. Counterpoint will be given 13 points for that first minute knockout, putting its total on 24. While unfortunately, Stardust is only given 1.
On to the last fight of Group 3, and it really is anyone's game. Both bots are on 1 point here. It is just 1 win, and you're through. And there's a good opening shot there from Mundo as he flips once, pushing them into the corner here. Stardust in peril.
Oh, tandeming shots between the Arena Hammer and its own axe. A good use of both weaponry in the opening 20 seconds here. Stardust wedging under, but not using that flipper. Still not using it. Had a good chance to maybe get Mundo on the shelf there as well.
Yeah, I think right now they're looking for a big old charge. Oh, good explosive flip there, but a miss. Mundo quickly recovering and trying to once more angle in its one big old purple lip to try and flip Stardust. So
that's a better flip from Stardust there. We're seeing that powerful flipper in play. Mundo, I would say, still on top at this point, but with a couple more flips, Stardust is back in this. Good toss from Mundo there. Another one. Oh,
and tossing themselves over from Stardust self-righting. And right now, not in a good position, but escaping regardless. This is just going to be a fight on who angles in better. Fantastic flip there from Stardust.
Stardust launching Mundo at the wall there. It landing just shy of the drums and thankfully not going out. Mundo's still in this fight, trying to axe the flipper there. We know Stardust doesn't have the best armor, so any shot from a damaging weapon could do serious damage to this machine. Oh, near the Uta zone.
Very close for tossing Stardust out, but Stardust escapes, gets free. That's going to be great for Stardust escaping, but it will also look great for Mundo if it does go
another good flip there.
Again.
Mundo very much on top at this moment in time. Stardust needs to do something now to get it back in the eyes of the judges. Mundo getting very close to an Uta on a few occasions. Stardust, a perfect run over the arena.
Knocking him out! Fantastic work there from Stardust. Mundo on top, but with one big flip, as we know flippers to have. They toss Mundo out and end Orc's career in Foxii Fighters.
A very unfortunate loss there. Mundo on top for most of the start of that match. But as Red said, all it sometimes takes is one flip. Stardust gains 12, keeping it in the competition. And now we move on to our final group, Group 4, where our first match will see Super Esports and Huo Wang, two of the deadliest spinners left in this event. Super Esports jumping from the spikes right at the start, and Huo Wang being counted.
Huo Wang, can it move? Is it okay?
Oh, Super Esports continuing the fight. It obviously doesn't want that easy of a win. Going straight in with those side drums, chipping away, ripping two of the forks off.
Yes, I think Huo Wang got stuck on one of his own parts there, really. A very, harsh and rough reality that you can face here in the arena.
Ooh, that's the back of Huo Wang just came off. The battery now exposed. Huo Wang down to only 3 of its 6 forks. And the wedge of Super Esports winning that exchange. Another fork goes flying off as well.
That was a very clever use there and good driving from Super Esports, utilising the wedge to go wedge on wedge of Huo Wang, since it knows that if it gets anywhere close to that spinner of Huo Wang, it may be in peril.
One of the drums on Super Esports gone now, though. That's the first time we've seen this all event. Xiao Shalong got close to doing that. Oh, a second drum gone! And the wall spikes, too.
Yes, here we are seeing the arena being ripped apart just as much as Huo Wang is, with Super Esports' quad drums, now duo, but still just as destructive.
Huo Wang has lost all of that front ground game now. It's got no forks, it doesn't even have the lip wedge, and we are seeing the effect of that as Huo goes pinballing all across the arena.
I think all the weight really much was just in the wedge here, and that is not going to be ideal for Huo Wang, as any sort of strike it makes with its spinner is going to be rough. Oh, and it's stuck once more on a piece of itself.
Oh, one of the forks that Super Esports ripped off earlier in the match. It popped it up and left Huo Wang stranded on that fork.
Yeah, strategically leaving it there this time. I think it just wants to have a good, strong win here in the beginning, and rather than it being left entirely to Huo Wang defeating itself.
And we have a second-minute knockout, meaning Super Esports will be given 12 points, and Huo Wang will only be given 2. Both robots have 1 match left in this group. Huo Wang will need to do something impressive.
On to the second fight of our final group. In the red square, Super Esports, and the blue square, Skynet. Super Esports coming off a strong victory against Huo Wang. Skynet still waiting for its first win.
Skynet getting right underneath there, but Super Esports pinging off the wall and clipping that front. It'll be interesting to see how the front of Skynet holds up in this fight against something that just chews away at wedges.
And so far, we are just seeing exactly that. That wedge has been chewed. Every time that Skynet's tried to go in for an attack so far in the start of this match, Super Esports had the drums waiting for them. And right now, Skynet, I think, just needs to try and utilize that hammer saw to, I want to say, counterbalance, really, because it's so far it's not driving well.
No, it definitely is not. But Skynet just flipping around, the floor flipper getting in a little bit. It seems very wounded, and it's being counted. It doesn't quite have that control to move.
It seems like it's going to be already over, and Skynet, of course, Super Esports coming in and whittling away as the count afterwards. A bit of a late hit there from Super Esports. Getting a bit excited, are we?
Yeah, Super Esports seeming to know that it's won, went back in for one more attack after the knockout had already been called. That is a 2nd-minute knockout in Super Esports' favour, which would have given it 12 points, but due to the 2-point reduction, that is knocked down to 10. And now we have our final match in the round of 12. Both of these robots on 2 points. It is Skynet versus Huo Wang. Skynet opting for the 2-pronged dustpan, and Huo Wang going for the long forks. Skynet right underneath at the start there and getting a couple of hits with that articulating spinner.
I think going for the long forks here is a risky move since it makes itself a much larger target to be angled in upon by Skynet, who very much likes to angle in and control, and so far that's exactly what they're doing. With Huo Wang being suspended up on its own parts and being left at the mercy of Skynet's hammer saw.
Yes, it's properly stuck on that dustpan. It breaks it free with another hit there. Ooh, wedging under, but not getting a hit on Skynet. Skynet managing to drive off. Those wheels being exposed at the back, definitely proving to be an advantage here. Goes for another hit on the fork, but can't quite get that spinner low enough to clip them.
Oh, Huo Wang now stuck on the ramrods here. I was going to say that Huo Wang, if it wants to stay on top, it needs to, almost, I'd say, angle in when available and not try and beat Skynet in like a turning match, because Skynet, I think, turns quicker and is a lot more nimble. So Huo Wang is beaten here by, I'd say, speed here, and right now angled in once more by Skynet. Skynet digging into Huo Wang, looking for the battery, looking to rip it apart.
Huo Wang taking a lot of substantial damage here. There's not much I think it can really do. It doesn't seem mobile. I think that might have killed it. Skynet waiting there menacingly in case Huo can move.
Little tap there from Skynet to see if there's any sign of life, but I think Huo Wang once more is stuck on its own parts, defeated not by Skynet technically, but by itself again.
Skynet ripping into Huo right from the start here. We saw in the middle of the match Huo get a couple of shots, but it wasn't enough to do any damage to Skynet. Skynet wedging right under, pinning it against the wall, and just breaking so much off, and then leaving Huo Wang beached and eliminated from the competition. Huo Wang gets another 2 points, finishing on 4, while Skynet is given 12, putting its total up to 14. Welcome back to Foxii Fighters, where we are unfortunately about to say goodbye to another 4 robots. And we have our top 8. Group 1 saw the loss of Demon Spirit. The plucky flipper with a habit of throwing itself out of the arena has finally met its end. It certainly had a good run, but it met its match in AJ Allmanflinger, and honestly, I think it was quite silly to use the anti-HS wedge against a flipper. Meanwhile, AJ showed a lot of promise, and Neola kept the pressure up.
Now on to Group 2, where I have been given the unfortunate responsibility of announcing my own demise. Lemon, regrettably, is eliminated, and as much as I hate that, I think that's fair enough, really. I tried doing a strategy that I thought would be helpful in the arena against Terabyte, but in the end it kind of just set me up for failure. Both of the machines deserve to go through, with Terabyte having a strong and fantastic end to Lemon, being chucking them out of the arena, and Serpent as well having a great toss and flipping Terabyte up onto the shelf, taking advantage of its weakness there. Worthy opponents, I have to say, and I'm glad I went out to them.
As for Group 3, it was, in one word, surprising. Mundo had a very solid run in the round-robin phase and carried itself to a 3rd place finish in the heats, but it had a very rough set of matchups here with Counterpoint and Stardust, 2 equally strong, if not stronger competitors in the field. It was a big effort by Counterpoint to get not 1 but 2 knockouts, setting it up very nicely to advance onwards and in dominant fashion. Joining 40 and moving on is Stardust. Somewhat of a surprise advance here. We talked about Stardust's weakness and how fragile the rear is, but it took on both challenges valiantly and saved itself by sending Mundo out of the arena.
And to our final group, we have got to say goodbye to Huo Wang. The Vert has been defeated. Quite convincingly, I might add, with Skynet essentially moving them around the arena and coming out completely unscathed in their fight with barely a lick-in from the Vert. Meanwhile, though, Super Esports, despite essentially going through, I have to say it's quite a shaky spot for them, as their matches, I can't say, were entirely convincing. It'll be interesting to see if that changes as we come now to our final machines.
And with 4 more goodbyes said, we are down to our top 8. 3 fights stand between our remaining robots and the title of Foxii Fighters Champion. On your screen now, you'll see our bracket complete with the round of 8 matchups. Our first match in the top 8 is Skynet taking on Neola, and I for one am very curious to see which configurations either bot go with, as there's plenty of choice on either side. The right configuration could very well be a game changer in this fight and could determine the winner.
Yes, both of these robots have shown their versatility and I think are the epitome of, I'd say, strategy-based machines here in this tournament. I do agree that the best configuration or the right configuration will be the deciding factor in who wins this match. If we look between, I'd say, the records of both of these machines, I think Neola has the stronger chance of picking the right one over Skynet.
This one is a tough one for me. We know how tough Neola has been throughout the event, but Skynet's unique angle of attack may throw Neola off somewhat. The sides of the multibot are durable, but we've not seen anything strike the top of the machine throughout the entire event, really. If Neola can avoid getting scooped up by the front of Skynet, it'll win. Otherwise, I can see this one going either way.
On to our next fight here, match 2, where we have AJ Allmanfliger against Serpent. Flipper versus Flipper. One machine has proven itself to be a slippery competitor, being quite low to the ground and has knocked out many a strong competitor that probably secured its position here in the final. I think it could really go either way here. It just needs to come down to who gets that right angle and who gets that key flip that sends a robot back home.
There's been many flippers in the event, but here we have by far the strongest two. Stardust may have the most power and Demon the most defense, but AJ and Serpent are the well-rounded launching machines. It's almost a shame to see this fight be in the round of 8 and not later in the event, but I think this fight will show us who the best flipper in the event is.
Yeah, as you've just said, Foxy, Serpent is as solid as they come. This match will be all about control and aggression. What matters most in this fight is, as we said at the beginning as well, finding the right scenario and taking full advantage of it. This will either be a knockdown, drag-out brawl for the full 3 minutes, or a shock within 30 seconds.
Our third fight in this round will be the Hydraulic Flipper of Stardust against the Quad Drum Tower Super Esports. Honestly, I'm not too worried about this one. I think I've probably got the easiest matchup here. I deal a lot of damage, and Stardust has very little armor. Provided it doesn't get a lucky Uta, this fight is mine to lose.
I think when I mentioned earlier about Super Esports and how it has to be driven well in order to further continue in this competition, I think this is very much an example of that fact. Stardust, I think, does have a lot of places in which Super Esports can tear it apart, but the moment Stardust gets underneath Super Esports or gets in a position where it can be flipped, it could very well easily be over just like that.
Our fourth and final match in the top 8 is between Terabyte and Counterpoint. Now you might not think it, but there are some similarities between these two. As we know, both have horizontal spinners, if you count the entirety of Terabyte being that horizontal spinner. That's where the similarities end though. See, Terabyte is built for non-stop damage, while Counterpoint is built on strategy and control. You'd think this clash of styles might disadvantage Counterpoint, but anything can happen inside the arena.
Now, while we may have seen this fight all the way back in week 1, with the infamous debiter from Counterpoint, I don't think we'll be seeing it again here. I expect 40 to run the plow and keep Terabyte spun down for as much of the fight as possible. I'm not expecting a lot of weapon usage, but I expect we'll get a fantastic driving match with Counterpoint coming out on top.
It's now time to get truly excited as we head into the final 8 robots of the competition. And starting off, we have AJ Ormflinger against Serpent. Both of them being very strong flippers and have done very well to get this far, with AJ opening the match with a strong flip towards the shelf.
Yes, we've got 2 of our gas-powered flippers here. AJ getting the first flip, as you said. Serpent seeming a little bit lost in the arena almost, but it's starting to find its footing now, I think. Yes, going for AJ's side there, but not quite getting under.
Yeah, you don't want to have control issues at this point of the stage in the tournament, because there's only 8 robots left, and if you lose, you are out for good. So one of these robots is going home for sure.
Yes, and it'll be a shame to lose one of these flippers. I think they've proved themselves to be... Well, they have to be 2 of the best machines to get to this stage, but I think they're definitely the 2 best flippers in this event. So this match is sort of crowning the champion of the flippers, in a way.
I do have to agree there, though right now it appears that AJ, I think, is on top. Serpent with a good flip there, tossing AJ over, and once again, crawling back, so it's AJ has the slight edge, but Serpent's crawling back.
Serpent's definitely found its footing now. AJ needs to put in a few more flips like the one it just got. I think Serpent, if it keeps doing what it's doing, it's going to win, but not that!
There we go! Fantastic flip by AJ! Angling in there, getting up on the wedge lits, and with one good run, tosses Serpent out of the competition for good.
This was a very back and forth match. AJ started on top, Serpent had it in the middle, and then AJ got that brilliant charge right across the arena and tossed Serpent into our outer zone. And now it is time for our second round of 8 match. We saw this fight all the way back in round 1, when Counterpoint brought out the Debiter. This time it's going with the static wedge. Let's see if it's a more sensible choice against Terabyte here. Ooh, got it stopped. Very good at the start there.
Right now it appears to be, as Terabyte is pinned, of course, against the wall by Counterpoint. Counterpoint wanting to try and spin around and do a quick thwack there, but it's got himself stuck, leaving Terabyte to spin up and leaving Counterpoint to be counted out. Gets free, but that was a very good opportunity there for Terabyte to get a good strike on Counterpoint.
I think it wanted to just leave Counterpoint to get counted out there, and didn't go in for the extra damage, but Counterpoint getting itself free and now getting the lifter and then the spinner into play. One thing I gotta commend Counterpoint and 40 for this entire event is 40's ability to use both of Counterpoint's weapons. It is one robot with 2 weapons. It doesn't feel like they're disconnected at all.
Yeah, so he's just using them in tandem one another, utilising the lifter often set up a spinner strike, or utilising the spinner to just knock away and whittle down their opponent, and then have the lifter come in to just kind of toss around and put them in an in position. It's a very great weapon with I think that demonstrates just the use and utility of multi-weapon robots. And right now, as we can see here, the lifter has put Terabyte in quite the in position, setting up for maybe potential hit from the spinner there by Counterpoint.
Let's see if Terabyte can be dropped on top of the spinner. Counterpoint just missing its strike. Unfortunate there.
That's going to look really good, though, on the control card, though, for Counterpoint, as I'd say right now, aside from that brief ping across the flipper there of the arena, Counterpoint is very much in control of this match.
Yes, Counterpoint, that front wedge definitely being a better idea than the Debiter that we saw all the way back in week 1. None of those parts of the wedge broke off. The floor flipper trying to give Terabyte more time to spin up, but Counterpoint straight back in with that lifter again. Sizing up for another drop.
Yeah, easing them up slowly but surely. I think 40. Oh no, dodging it again. I know that 40 honestly frustrated trying to get those that setup shots, but this is going to look really good for him regardless if it does go to the judges, which
third
does seem likely.
Third really good lift. It's tried it again and it's worked!
Oh! The ring has gone, the primary damage dealer of Terabyte is gone, and Counterpoint, as we head to the final 15 seconds of the match, I think that's going to secure its win in the judges.
Absolutely. Damage was the only thing Terabyte probably had up on the cards beforehand, but even that now, the ring incredibly compromised, and the fight draws to a close.
I think that was a good effort from Terabyte regardless, but it appears Counterpoint and 40 came in with the best strategy, the best design, and gave Terabyte no room to shine as a shell spinner.
And our judges have agreed, giving Counterpoint the win on a 9-4 decision.
On to our next match with Super Esports and Stardust, Red Square and Blue Square respectively. Very different machines in comparison to each other. Let's see who ends up on top.
Super Esports with the heavy weapons. The flipper already gone on Stardust! One shot to the top and it's just broke it instantly.
Oh dear, if Mundo had only learned about this sooner, he would have a better chance against Stardust.
Esports underneath. And the drops!
Looking at oh my days!
Under 30 seconds for that knockout.
Destroyed. Super Esports just found the one thread it needed to pull and saw Stardust design. And Stardust's hopes, much like the robot, crumbled.
And now it is time for our final match of the round of 8. We have the Clusterbot of Neola in the red square and Skynet using its dustpan in the blue. Skynet going straight for that horizontal, getting on top of it. The flame kind of just sitting there right now, letting the horizontal get to work.
Yes, but it has caught it now and is now smashing down on top of it. I can definitely see what Skynet's going for, though. I think it has recognised that catching one of the clusters of Neola and then just whittling it down with the hammer sword, as it's doing right now, is probably a lot better.
Oh, but watch out for the horizontal behind you, Skynet! Oh!
Oh, there's the battery!
I think that Neola might be dead. The flame does not seem to be moving anymore. Skynet has... It's managed to knock out one of the Neolas.
Oh my... That's a very difficult feat to see in the competition, but Neola has knocked out the base of the dustpan. Oh dear.
It seems to have angered the other one when it killed its sibling, so... But the thing is, with this Clusterbot, you can't just kill one, you've got to get them both knocked out. And Skynet now looking a bit worse for wear. When it was targeting the flame, the horizontal just got hits in at Skynet's rear. And the damage is racking up now.
Yeah, you can see it here with the sides of the dustpan and the way that Skynet is now sort of like listing and drifting with its drive. One side very much, I'd say, is a lack of friction and a wheel's been knocked off.
Definite lack of friction now.
Yeah. I think that the wedge cluster was more used for a distraction, allowing for the horizontal to just get a good advantage. I think really Skynet went after the wrong cluster in this tournament and it has paid the price. It's got to hope for a lucky hit now, but with how clever
there's the last part of the dustpan gone. Skynet against the wall. I don't see much it can do. Oh, and it took itself out. It took
itself out, yes. Fantastic work there from Neola. It appears that, I don't know if it was intended or not, but Skynet took the bait, went after the wedge bot, ignored the horizontal, which it shouldn't have done, and sealed its fate.
Yes, the horizontal there capitalizing on Skynet not going for it and just compromising Skynet's drive and advancing into the top 4. I think those have been some of the most intense fights of the competition so far. The round of 8 is over and we are down to 4 robots. Super Esports, AJ Allmanflinger, Counterpoint, and Neola. While we give the builders some time to make adjustments and repairs to their machines, we will take a look at the journey these bots have been on through the event so far. Let's start with Super Esports. It finished the round-robin phase of the event with a 5-2 record, with wins over Xiaoxilong, Wave Runner, Barracuda, Two-Headed Death Penguin, and Quake, and losing to Lemon and Demon Spirit. It got second place in the Topaz group with 62 points in total. In the group brackets, it went 1-1, beating Wave Runner and then losing to Demon Spirit again. after racking up 2 more knockouts in the round of 12 against Skynet and Huo Wang, and a third in the round of 8 where we just saw it shatter Stardust, Super Esports is going to take quite the robot to knock it out, especially now the robots that have beaten it thus far have all been eliminated. This Mechanim Drive menace has been one to watch all event. I'm looking to take my robot to the very top.
Well, for AJ Ullmanflinger, it has been an uphill battle throughout this event. A strong start saved it, beating Leviathan, Jokester, and Howler in the round robins. But the 4 losses, and some in quite devastating fashion, did no favours, and it barely scraped through into the group brackets. The group brackets were all about mounting a comeback and gaining confidence. A new fort configuration benefited massively. AJ became much more challenging to face, enough of a challenge to where nobody could beat it. 3 knockouts, 1 judge's decision, all wins in the book, and a much better result than the round robin phase. For me, the top 12 felt like a mountain too steep to climb, but AJ made it, and while challenging Neola resulted in AJ becoming just another victim, the victory over Demon Spirit clutched a spot in the top 8, and the right place and right time came along. As a competitor reaching 10 years of competing, to be within this field is more than enough for me. Of course everyone plays the game to win, but with the journey put into perspective, whatever may happen, I'm more than satisfied, and I only hope that I can give the audience and the Roboteers a good fight.
And on to Counterpoint, a robot that I think embodies some of the best qualities of modern Roblox robot combat, being a highly adaptable and highly versatile machine with its dual weapon setup and genius driving from our Roboteer 40. In the round robin phase, they got an impressive 6-1 record, defeating the likes of Cerberus, Avalanche, Silly Goose, Game Over, Burnout, and the fellow finalist Neola, being one of the only robots so far to do that. It only ever lost to Terabyte, though, as we'll learn later, that didn't last for long. But nonetheless, succeeded in getting a 2nd place record in the Ruby group with 62 points in total. Moving on to the group bracket, it also got 2nd place there, defeating Game Over, though only ever losing to Neola, being equal in record there. And I suppose starting maybe a little rivalry against the machine here that perhaps even continues here, getting into the final. Then to the round of 12, where it got a decisive judge decision win against Mundo and a convincing knockout against Stardust with 22 points in total, the highest in that round. And now, of course, from there we get to the round of 8, where it got vengeance against Terabyte in its convincing win against it, and avenging its loss it received in the round robin phase. Here, now, in the round of 4, I'm not surprised it got here. It's a truly, I want to say, marvel of modern day digital engineering, really, when it comes to robot combat. And in my many years of watching this sport grow, I am very happy to see this robot flower into a legend that it now has cemented itself as.
And the last robot we have left to talk about is the multibot all the way from South Korea, Neola. Rose has been a strategic mastermind throughout this event so far with her unique modular multibot design. It gave her a 6-1 record in the Ruby group with wins over Burnout, Cerberus, Avalanche, Game Over, Silly Goose, and Terabyte. Neola's one loss came at the hands of Counterpoint in a fight that will go down as one of the most impressive displays of driving we have ever seen from someone. She ended the round robin phase leading the Ruby group with an impressive 65 points. In the Ruby group bracket, we saw Neola once again defeat Terabyte and get revenge over Counterpoint with a slight amendment to her strategy, allowing her to finish the Ruby group in first place. Neola scored another 2 wins in the round of 12, with the flipper Neola sending AJ Ullmanflinger tumbling out the arena, and the 2 spinners expertly dissecting Demon Spirit, leaving her with 21 points. And lastly, we saw a rare moment of weakness against Skynet, as one half of the multibot was knocked out early. However, Rose didn't let that faze her, and she took back control of the match, with Skynet ending up out of the arena with a little over a minute to go. With only one loss throughout the entire event so far, Neola is shaping up to be the bot to beat as the event draws to a close. With all of that talking out of the way, it is time to jump back into the action. AJ Allmanflinger and Neola are loaded into the arena, and it is time for our round of 4 to begin.
On to our first semi-final between Neola and AJ Allmanflinger. Both of these machines have shown why they should be here, and right now, I'm not sure who's going to win this, but we'll have to see.
This is the second time tonight we're seeing this match, and Neola is using the same 2 configurations. Last time, this match ended in under a minute with the flipper throwing AJ even out of the arena. It doesn't look like Rob is letting himself get too close to that flipper one, as he is targeting the spinner, but the flipper getting a good toss in there.
Boxed into the wall there, thrown into the side. AJ will feed that, but AJ is tough. He seems like he's, going after the horizontal, really, so I think he recognises that's the threat here that needs to worry about.
I'm assuming you might have taken some notes from the Skynet fight that we saw with Neola a little bit ago, where Skynet made the mistake of not targeting that damaging one. Rob seems to definitely be swatting it away there.
Though it's not landed, much hits on it. It's more just deflected it with its anti-horizontal wedge, which is doing its job so far, but for how long, I wonder?
Yeah, you've got to imagine that damage will rack up over the course of the fight. But Neola's horizontal isn't as powerful as some of the others we've seen in this event. It's still got a good bit of weight to it, but as the machine's half the weight, the spinner's not going to be quite as powerful. Rob doing a very good job focusing it. The flipper tossing it over again there, though. And again.
And tossing it over again, yes. As we are seeing here, AJ right now is just trying to be aggressive, and I think that Rose is going to quickly catch on that the spinner is being chased after, and will try and utilise that just to give AJ not much room to do anything against the cluster.
Oh, another good deflection there. Oh, the spinner upside down and inverted. AJ on the wall! Oh, but it flips itself down. A very quick recovery from it there. Neola's flipper now inverted. Manages to self-right.
Which I think is quite ideal for AJ, really. Able to toss it a few times. Stuck on the ramrods is going to give it a good time for Neola to reevaluate itself. Tossing itself away for another deflection here. I have to say, even though AJ hasn't done much, in terms of damage, it's been very aggressive so far.
AJ's definitely got the aggression, and I would say control is fairly even. The flipper's been doing good to score Neola those control points, but the horizontal's getting swatted away time and time again.
Neola, I think the flipper's stuck on a piece of itself. That it's not ideal for the cluster. It needs to get down.
Oh, and Rob's freed it! Maybe an error on his part. I don't know if he realised that it was stuck.
A piece of it, of AJ's wedge has been knocked off now as we get to the final 10 seconds. Can we get anything impressive?
Oh, the horizontal now stuck, but the flipper frees it.
Oh!
A fantastic toss there.
Yeah, I have to say, as the match concludes, I'm thinking that AJ may have the aggression. Neola's probably got the damage and control here.
Let's see who our judges have given it to. Advancing to the final of Foxii Fighters on an 8-5 decision will be the multi-bot of Neola. Rob, unfortunately, just not quite enough to win himself that fight, but still, he moves to the 3rd place playoff, where he will have a chance to get the bronze. Our second semi-final match is Super Esports against Counterpoint. Now this is all weapon against a robot that is split between weapon and control. Let's see which weapon Counterpoint chooses to lead with. It appears to be the horizontal looking at this so far.
I think that's a very wise decision considering that Super Esports is just a wedge shredder. That lifter will be torn apart if it matches against the drum. So Counterpoint, I think, just very much needs to whittle away at those drums, which I think is probably weaker and lighter in comparison to Counterpoint's spinner.
Yes, definitely. Super Esports' weight being split across 4 weapons can be a detriment at times. as the weapons are weaker and easier to break off. But it's still, we've seen it get some good damage. Will it get another quick knockout like it did against Stardust? Oh my gosh, Counterpoint, don't do that, please.
Lifted up by the flipper and then used like a spinner to rebound itself across the ring. Super Esports hoping to probably capitalize, do something about it, that mistake there, but I think more or less Counterpoint is recovered, and we now once more get into a strategy sort of game here, a bit of mind game.
Oh, a fantastic lift from Counterpoint there. We've seen Super Esports isn't quite as efficient upside down. Those drums significantly hampered, the mobility struggling as well, those mechanisms just not working as well as they need to.
Yes, as I said, while it has sacrificed one of the lifting prongs there of Counterpoint's design, it certainly helped. I think it was worth it since, as you say, Super Esports is slower and sluggish now, and Counterpoint, I think, will recognise that and will try to take advantage of it.
Counterpoint just wailing on Super Esports at this point with the horizontal. Super Esports struggling to move at all.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's controlled movement.
It doesn't seem to be. Counterpoint's still engaging, so we can't count Esports just yet. One more hit for good measure. I think Counterpoint's leaving it now.
Yeah, there we go. As there's the count. Can Super Esports surprises at all, or is Counterpoint guaranteed in the final? I think it's going to be the latter here, and yes, there we are.
Cheering with the lifter. It knows it's won. Super Esports broken apart and defeated. Counterpoint, a brilliant display with the spinner there and some very good control from the lifter. It will confidently move through to the final to meet Neola. Meanwhile, Super Esports will drop into the third place playoff to face AJ Allmanflinger.
Welcome back to the studio. We are awaiting the final two battles of Foxii Fighters, those being the third place playoff between AJ Allmanflinger and Super Esports, and our grand final. Rose and Neola will do battle against Forty and Counterpoint to decide who leaves as Foxii Fighters Champion. The third place playoff is a battle that I've been strategizing for. As said earlier in the episode, Super Esports for many is a battle that they just can't win, but I couldn't be happier to share this arena with it. I do think AJ has a shot here, but it'll take a near perfect driving performance and some luck in between.
I'm looking forward to meeting you in the arena, and I'm hoping to defeat AJ and claim third place. My drums were not spinning up the way they should have been against Counterpoint there, and I'm hoping I've amended those issues and can knock AJ out before you get the chance to flip me out. As for our grand final, we see Neola and Counterpoint fight for a third time this event. This one decides a lot too. The robots sit at a 1-1 record between each other, so while the prize of Foxii Fighters Champion is the ultimate goal, you have to imagine that both Forty and Rose are doing this for pride too, to prove that their respective wins were not just a fluke. Looking at both robots here, I think I'm going to be backing Neola, but I would not be disappointed or surprised if Counterpoint comes out on top.
Gonna be honest here, this is the grand final that I have been hoping for. A fight between two, I think, of our best and brightest here in not only Foxii Fighters, but in Robot Combat as a whole. Neola, the strong cluster bot that has been as versatile as it has been brutal, being driven to perfection here in facing up every type of robot under the sun that could be produced in this medium. I think the deciding factor here, however, will always come down to if Neola's going to be two robots by the end of that match or just one. Because that teamwork aspect, I think, has been a very key factor in deciding its many victories. If you split that robot in half, suddenly your chance of winning becomes astronomically high. Let's get our appetizer out of the way with the third place playoff between my two co-hosts here, AJ and Super Esports. On to the fight for the bronze. We have in the red square AJ Allmanflinger, the powerful flipper, against Super Esports in the blue with the quad drums. Both of these machines have shown and proven why they should be this far. It's just a matter of who's going to come out on top.
We've seen how durable that wedge of AJ is, but we've seen how damaging the drums of esports is. This is going to be, can AJ get the flips like it's doing before it breaks? 1, 2, a third fantastic flip there.
4 flips, and there we go. As we can see, that one of the drums is on fire. Is that the... What's on fire?
The entire robot, by the look of it. Super esports struggling. The drum's down.
He gets stuck in the drum, and he's burning a marshmallow over its own flames. HF has got the bronze. Super esports is done. Oh my days!
And as the knockout happens, a new puff of smoke appearing from esports. The bot left flaming, pinned in the drums. AJ Allmanflinger with a combination of 4 good flips and a final one onto the drums secures itself 3rd place in Foxii Fighters. And now we have our grand final. 7 weeks has been building up to this, Neola and Counterpoint. There's a lot in store here. These two have fought twice before in this event, with each one winning once. This match decides the title, and which one of these can prove that their initial wins wasn't just a fluke.
Yes, and it's, I think, a fantastic way to sort of demonstrate the two sort of design principles here, but that both robots are kind of similar in terms of their execution, but are done differently, with Counterpoint being one robot with multiple weapons, and Neola being 2 separate robots with singular weapons. It's sort of like a mirror in a way.
Counterpoint seeming to rely on that lifter early into the match, but one of the prongs of it is gone. I'm expecting to see that spinner come on soon, definitely. Ooh, the drum there, getting carried a bit. All the spinner now on, and the horizontal deflecting off that big front wedge of Counterpoint.
Which we have seen so far to be very durable and effective in defeating spinners. And Counterpoint right now is stuck and being wedged by the Neola drum and taking a piece off of the horizontal Neola in a process, knocking it away into the wall.
This is a decently close match so far. I would say Neola has a slight edge, but Counterpoint is doing very well to deflect itself from both robots at once. That is a part of Neola's drum that's just come off, so that's definitely getting weaker now.
Yes, but I have to wonder how many of those hits of the Neola cluster's spinners are racking up now against Counterpoint's armor, since he's just getting attacked from both sides and both ends by both spinners.
The drum spinner going in for an attack there, ripping off the other part of the lifter, and there goes a wedge and a wheel guard in one shot.
This is what I'm saying, Foxii. As much as Counterpoint's armor is durable, those spinners are going to like rack up and rank up. And so far, I think Counterpoint needs to do something a bit more rapid now to come back against them. Otherwise, he's going to be feeling it in the final few seconds of this fight.
Definitely. There's a big wheel gone. Oh, Counterpoint down to 3 wheels now. That's not going to be good for its control. The drum chewing away, getting another big toss there.
And I think the blood is in the water. I think the Neola, the sharks are to come. A smack into the side here. I think we might have our victors here. Looking at the two machines. Oh.
Yeah, Counterpoint's going to need something pretty incredible in this last 24 seconds to get the win here. Neola, another shot there. That did some damage to it as well, but the other big wheel on Counterpoint is now gone. The drum getting a push across the arena into the hammer, and I think that's decided it. Counterpoint struggling to move now.
Yeah, and there we have the count out, signifying the end of Foxii Fighters and crowning the winner of the whole tournament.
Unfortunately, Counterpoint couldn't prove that it had what it takes to beat Neola again. And Neola is your champion of this event, losing only once throughout the entire competition. Rose's strategy has been on point this entire time. A very worthy champion. For one final time this season, we welcome you back to the studio. We have just crowned the champion of Foxii Fighters, Neola Rose's Multibot. The modular menace has swept through the competition with only a single loss throughout. Right from the start, Neola has been one to watch, and I am happy to crown it as our champion. However, we shouldn't turn our noses up at Counterpoint, as it has proven itself to be a very competent machine, claiming second place overall, and being the only robot to actually defeat Neola throughout the event. Forty has cemented himself as one of the best drivers, effortlessly switching between lifter and spinner to outcontrol and outdamage many an opponent over the past 7 weeks.
I've touched upon it throughout this episode, and to be a bit of a broken record, I could not be more satisfied with AJ Ullmanflinger's performance here. To make it to the top 12 was a surprise, to end in 3rd place overall was a bit of a miracle. I didn't expect to beat Super Esports, but as I've also said before, anything can happen in the arena. There are so many flowers to give to all of the competitors and robots here. The top 4 is a collection of absolutely elite machines, and really, I look forward to seeing what's next out of them.
As for my own machine in Super Esports, I'm very happy to have taken 4th place. It went out in a blaze of glory against AJ Ullmanflinger, and I'll give Rob full credit for that incredible display of driving to knock my robot out there.
We've seen some really fantastic machines here, and I'm really glad I could get some mileage out of Lemon. I think one of the biggest regrets here, though, I have, Hove, as well, is not being able to join my co-hosts in the top 8. I think I probably would have enjoyed fighting other than Counterpoint or Neola, really, had I been given the chance to, but there we are. Maybe next time.
It's been no short of a thrill to be here at this desk with you, Foxy, Red, and John, whose remains are around here somewhere. I do think that the field for this event has shown the highest echelon of performance within the RRC. To see the diversity of machinery, strategy, all of it is phenomenal, and I'm very, very excited to see what's next for everyone.
I do agree with you here, Rob. It's fantastic to be sitting here amongst all of you and pretty much commentate on the best and brightest that the RRC very much has to offer. Roblox has been a medium to very much explore just the highest limits of what could very much be possible for robot combat as a whole. And I'd be very happy to come back again next year and see just what people think of, and perhaps what I may think of in the future.
It has been an absolute blast hosting this wonderful event, and it could not have been possible without the support of my 3 co-hosts, Redmond, John, and Rob, and of course the other 29 builders who have entered machines into this event and made it what it is. Whether a builder or a viewer, I hope you've enjoyed this season of Foxii Fighters, and from myself and everyone else who made this possible, thank you and good night.